Yo guys, I'm just fiddling with some settings here and then we'll get going. Let me know if the mic audio sounds okay. Sounds like the video is okay. Or the desktop audio is okay, at least. Okay, cool. Looks like we're splitting some viewers between Twitch and YouTube. That's fine though. All right, audio is good. You guys can hear me all right? I'm gonna pause the music. Audio's good. Everyone can hear me? See if this works. Ah! Alright, can y'all hear me alright? I don't know how to fucking mute that sound. That might be something I have to fucking figure out here. Maybe I can turn that noise down, because that is loud. Oh my god. Is that gonna happen every time I get a subscriber? Oh man. Okay, what's up everybody? Trader Mayne back here with another Ethereum and chill video. New streaming software. So it's going to probably take me more than one stream to just get all the kinks worked out, audio, visually. I think my camera, you can let me know, is slightly higher resolution, and I've improved the green screen. I've also included Twitch now to the stream, so you can now watch on Twitch or on YouTube. My understanding is that Twitch is a better experience for you, the viewer, so you guys can obviously let me know. If you don't care, I can just do YouTube only. Doesn't make a difference to me. In terms of what we're going to be focusing on today, primarily Bitcoin and Ethereum, both in a range-bound environment. So I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks that I use to be able to still trade within a range-bound environment, because I do know that it can be a little bit frustrating when we have, you know, a year straight essentially of just insane volatility, only in one direction, but volatility nonetheless. And now we're in a period of, you know, not so much volatility, where price hasn't done a ton over the last 2 weeks. It may seem like a lot is happening. A lot isn't happening. People, I think, are just kind of capitulating and getting chopped up in what is essentially just a big range. Once that range resolves itself, whether it's to the upside or to the downside, then we can look at swing trades and things of that nature. But until then, I'll give you guys some tips and some tricks about trading within a range, and hopefully that will help you out. We'll watch the daily close together, the weekly close together, and we will kind of go from there. So, cool. Obviously, this stream sponsored by my friends over at Bybit, so shout out to Bybit. They've got another deposit bonus going on, up to $300,000 in USDT. They're calling it a bonus drop. It's going on from June 2nd, so it started a couple days ago, until June 11th. So you still got 5 days to participate. I've left all of the information on how to get involved in the description of the stream. So, or you can check it out on my Twitter. Click the link. Use the code DOGEWOW, DOGEWOW, to get access to some free money. I mean, right now, everyone needs a little bit of free money, right? So shout out to Bybit. Really appreciate them helping me to continue to put these streams on for you guys. So please do me a favor, click the link, get yourself some free money so they stay happy with me, because, yeah, I like working with them. I want to continue. So if you have Any specific questions, things I don't cover in the stream, you can always hit me up on Twitter. I do have a free Discord that you can join. We've got almost 8,000 members in there, which is absolutely bonkers. The link to that is in the description or the bio of my Twitter. So go on my Twitter, twitter.com/tradermayne. In the bio of my Twitter, I have a link tree. I have a couple yachts. One of those will lead you to the Discord, and you can interact with me there directly. It is completely free. So without getting two more, how do I turn off the subscription sound? I got to turn off the alert sound. Here, what if I completely mute it? Will that work? Nope. Okay, hold on, guys. Like I said, it's my first time doing this, guys. Relax. Alert box. I've muted it. I don't know what to do. Streamlabs settings. All right, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to figure this out. Everyone chill. Everyone relax. All right. How about now? Oh my God. I muted it. How do we get people to not show subscribe? This is my nightmare. Audio. No. Someone who knows what they're doing, tell me what to do. How about? Like, how do I fucking mute you? This is a nightmare, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to do it. Okay. Properties. Okay. I know how to make the thing disappear. I don't know if the sound. Go to Streamlabs dashboard. Click widgets. Click the big blue block called alert block in the middle of the page where it says general settings. Okay. Everyone stop talking. This guy knows what he's talking about. Alert box. Click the big blue box called alert box. Look at the middle of the page where it says general settings. I've got that. Go through the different types of notifications, then drop the sound volume to 0. Okay. There we go. Oh, this is my man right here. Okay. All right, I think that worked, guys. I think that worked. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. That was hectic. I thought it would be a good idea, but apparently way too many people are subscribing, and it's going to be annoying as hell. All right, so let's get directly into the BTC analysis, and we can kind of go from there and blow on it 3 times and put it back. Okay, I'll try that next if this doesn't work. Then we'll get into Ethereum. So obviously the Bitcoin chart doesn't look amazing, right? I mean, in reality, we haven't really done anything since my last stream, right? My last stream, this was the weekly candle close. And here we are now, right? So not a ton has happened this week. It may look like a ton has happened, but really all you have here is a range. And so what I'm going to be discussing in this video and in kind of in detail is how you can find trades within here. Because as much as it seems like, you know, people on Twitter are telling you that, hey, don't trade this, it's chop, you know, this price action is AIDS, blah, blah, blah. While some of that may be true, it doesn't mean that there aren't trades available to you. You just have to change the type of trades that you're looking for, the type of analysis that you're doing to line up with the current environment that the market is giving you, right? When I'm trading, I have different setups and different things I look for when we're trending versus when we're consolidating or in a range, right? No different than when you're in an uptrend, you're looking for longs. In a downtrend, you're looking for shorts. Well, in a range, you can look for both longs and shorts, right? But there are certain things that you need to keep in mind. Specifically, some things that you're going to want to change are where you're looking for those trades. So where are you looking for longs versus where you're looking for shorts, right? Because in an uptrend, we're primarily focused for longs. On a downtrend, primarily focused on shorts. So when we're within a range and we can take longs and shorts, you're going to need to know, you're going to need to delineate, okay, here's where I'm getting bullish, here's where I'm getting bearish relative to this trading range. Another thing you're going to want to kind of change up is your profit taking strategies. When we're in a range, you need to be a little bit more strict about taking profit. Yes, you can leave runners on in hopes that maybe you caught the low or caught the high and you're hoping for a breakout of the range. But until we have some sort of clue that we are going to be leaving the trading range, your best bet is to be kind of very strict with your profit taking. Okay, so you want to again match your trading style, the type of setups you're looking for with the market conditions, right? Because if you're sitting here only taking longs, you're probably going to be taking some longs into the range highs. And if you're only looking for shorts and you're taking shorts the range lows, you might get ripped because it might bounce. So this is tradable. As much as it seems like chop, there are trades. In the last week, we had a range of about 15%. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So this is the last week of trading. We had 15% bottom to top. So basically from the low of the week to the high of the week was 15%, right? And then from that high of the week to where we are now was a 10% move to the downside. So you can't tell me that there aren't trades in here. If you're in my Discord, we actually took a long from like here to here. We caught like a nice 15% move in the Discord. And I posted it on Twitter as well. But there's definitely still trades available to you within the range. But the types of trades you're going to get, they're going to be shorter term. Your profit taking objectives are going to be a lot closer than some long swing trade that you're just buying support and holding to the moon because we're in a mega uptrend. You have to realize that the market conditions have changed, so your trading needs to change too. Or don't trade. You do not have to trade in these conditions if you do not want to. If this is not your forte, if you're like, I'm a trend trader, then sit on your hands. I mean, hopefully over the last year of this absolute friggin' moon mission, you've made some money. So you don't have to sit here and trade. I've not taken that many trades in the last 10 days because I didn't want to. When I much prefer trading in clear trends than I do trading in a range. I know how to trade in a range, but it's not my favorite thing to do. And especially when BTC is this uncertain, any other asset, it's a little different. If I'm trading gold or Euro USD, I'll trade the range all day. Bitcoin itself is a little different because if we break down really hard, obviously alts are going to gig a nuke and a whole bunch of other factors come into play versus just trading some other random chart. But regardless, you do not need to trade if you do not want to. Don't force it, right? If you find yourself getting chopped up, you're getting destroyed in this range, don't fucking trade it. You don't have to, right? No one is forcing you to take a bunch of trades that aren't there. It's no different than any market environment. If the trade is not obvious to you, if you don't know exactly where and why you're entering, where and why your stop is going where it is, and where is your profit taking and why, don't take the trade. You need to know those things. So hopefully these tips that I give you guys will help for those of you that are super keen to learn how to trade in a range, already kind of know, want to improve. And I'll obviously also give you guys just some general kind of BTC analysis while we're at it. So we'll start with kind of top-down Bitcoin analysis, and then we'll get into the current range that we're in. And then I'll give you guys the tips on how I've been managing the range. And these are things that you're going to be able to use in the future in your own trading, hopefully. And if you like it and it's helpful to you, obviously, retweet my video, subscribe to me. Obviously, don't subscribe during the video because it's annoying as hell. But subscribe to the channel, share this shit with your friends, make your parents watch it, So starting with Bitcoin, we'll start at the monthly chart. There's not a ton of levels to go off of here. The monthly chart does not look good. There's no two ways about it. We essentially need a country to accept Bitcoin as currency, kind of like El Salvador just did, but maybe a country that is not El Salvador. No offense to my El Salvadorians, but I'm pretty sure the market cap of Dogecoin is bigger than the GDP of El Salvador. I'm also pretty sure that like El Salvador is like one of the top 5 countries for crime and murder. But it's a start. I think the El Salvador news is much more of kind of a potential domino, first domino, and hopefully a series of other dominoes of other countries beginning to accept crypto and Bitcoin as currency, as opposed to El Salvador is here to save the day. I think it's a great start. I don't think it's negative by any means. I would have loved to have had the market give us some sort of bullish reaction to bullish news. A bad sign is when you have bullish news not lead to a bullish push in price, right? When you're in a downtrend, generally what you'll see is bearish news, right? If you're in a bear market, bearish news makes the chart bearish and bullish news does shit fuck all. And it's the reverse in the bull trend, right? Go look at the Elon news originally when we were pumping, right? The market flew. So that's kind of what I was hoping to see, some sort of bullish reaction. We didn't really get it. I still think it's good news, but from like a volume perspective, it's not going to save the day, right? We need more. So looking at the monthly chart, we will start with the key levels that I'm watching here on the monthly. Okay. There's not a ton going on here on the monthly. There is literally no monthly support until way lower. So it doesn't mean we have to come and test these levels, but they are relevant should we continue to have bearish price action. These are levels, right? Previous all-time high, and then the candle closes of previous all-time high that will act as support for price. Does it mean we're going to V-reverse off of there? I have no fucking clue. It doesn't really matter. It's still quite far away. But all of a sudden, a 20K target, which seemed like never going to see 20K again, right, is all of a sudden within striking distance after the big correction that we've had. But those are the kind of key monthly levels that I'd be looking at here, right? These monthly closes, which is effectively the same as here, and then the previous all-time high. Should we continue to print red monthly candles, these are areas that price, unfortunately, absolutely could go. Let's speak hypothetically for a moment. When we have had previous bear markets on Bitcoin, right? 2013, 2017, let's assume that this is the top for a moment, right? We generally will get an 80+% retrace from the all-time high to the eventual bottom. That's been true for all of the previous bull runs, where when the top was in 20K, retraced to 3K, it's about 82% or whatever it is, 1300 or 1400, whatever, 1200 actually, whatever the previous top was, down to like 200, 80-ish%. So let's speak hypothetically for a moment and say this is the all-time high for this cycle. And we're going to go into some sort of bear market for who knows how long. An 80% drop from here puts us right around this key level here, right? And this is actually the last area that we had monthly demand, right? So this monthly order block is where this entire move up came. So theoretically, if this is the all-time high, this is BTC could print levels or prices back below 10K. I know it sounds insane, but if this was the all-time high and nothing has changed in terms of how the market cycles go, we could pull back 80% off the all-time high and you could be buying sub 10K BTC or 10, 11, 12K BTC. I don't want to consider that as a possibility. I much would rather if we just go like this. I think everyone would, or just some sort of sideways consolidation, right? And then another run. But you have to be open to all possibilities, right? You don't want to ignore that the top could be in, because then you might be caught longing every fucking bounce on the way down and just getting absolutely smoked, like many people here did. They would long it thinking we were going to reverse, and then it'd drop lower. Long it, think it's going to reverse, drop lower. So not trying to be some sort of big bear here. I'm just showing you what is possible, right? Looking at the weekly chart, we are still trading within this original kind of weekly demand that I had marked as an area of potential support, right? So when we had this breakdown, I talked about wanting to be a buyer in here. Unfortunately for me, I started buying way too early in this candle. I started buying at like 38, 35K, and we came all the way down, sub 30 on most exchanges. But we are still trading within this trading range, right? And within the body, also a range in itself of this candle here. And I'm going to show you guys some tricks in terms of how you can delineate what your range is that you're trading, because there's a lot of ways you can do it. You can use a previous candle. You can use the weekly range, right? So the high and low of the week, high and low of the previous week. You can use the range of Monday, which is something that Trader SZ does for day trading opportunities. There's all sorts of different ways that you can define your range and then use those as your SR levels to key your trades off of, and we'll cover a bunch of them here. But we're still trading within this area, right? So until this area gives up the goat, we have to assume, right, that this is still support, right? And this is a weekly level. So I talked about this in previous streams. Doesn't mean we just have to do this, right? At a weekly level, we can chop, which we're doing right now, range, consolidate with this level for a while before exiting and confirming it as support, or breaking down and confirming it as a level that has failed and now needs to be reclaimed. Because if we come below here, I think this is a hard level to get back through. I don't think this is something that if we break down here from this block, I don't think this is something that we just do like this. It's possible, obviously, anything is possible, but I think it's much more likely if we break down here, we'll spend significant time below this level, unless it's just like a wick, right? One thing I do see here on the weekly is we have relatively equal lows here that have not been run, right? So the more we hang out down here with these long upper wicks, kind of showing me that any sort of buying, because basically the last 2 weeks we've seen buying early in the week, tons of optimism, hope, the bull market is back on, we're not going down, we're going back to the moon, blah, blah, blah. Get crushed, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We completely retrace it. We've been putting in big wicks. That's happened the last 2 weeks in a row. Makes me think that these are a pretty good candidate to get run. It doesn't mean we have to go this low, but I would not be surprised if at some point we see these lows run, right? Which would still be within the range of this candle, remember? So this would be like a setup, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But these lows look a little bit juicy, just based on how much selling pressure we're seeing every time we approach 40K. Makes me think that we probably run these lows at some point. Like if we're going to go up, we could go from here, but I would not be surprised at all if we run these lows first. Some sort of SFP, deviation, whatever the hell you want to call it. So then the reclaim is where I get interested to get long, right? I'll get to the chat in a bit, guys. I know there's going to be a shit ton of messages. I'll do my best. So on the weekly, what levels are we looking at here? As you can see, right, that monthly level ended up being super key for Bitcoin, right? So that monthly level ended up being the retrace you wanted to sell. You essentially had a head and shoulders, an over under, whatever you want to call it, right at that monthly level that led to the sell-off into this weekly demand. So if I'm looking at the weekly, the most bullish scenario that I see from here is a move from this area of demand into this area of supply. Okay. Now, I don't know if this then just turbo nukes from here. It absolutely can. And again, we could run these lows first, It doesn't have to happen next week. It could take a few weeks. This is the super high time frame. Things will take time to develop. All of the bias flipping, bullish, bearish, bullish, alt seasons back on, alts are dead, all happened within this one candle on this time frame. So you have to keep that in mind, that the weekly candle, right, the weekly chart takes a while to play out. But I would love to see, however we get there, whether it's right away or takes a while, a move into this level. This is an untested weekly level, okay? That is weekly bearish order block, weekly supply. And if we somehow make a move up to here, this would be an area where I would exit all of my crypto essentially. The reason being is this is going to be the ultimate risk reward for a short, and it's got a super clear invalidation, and the potential downside is massive. And if you're wrong, the potential upside is massive. You snap back into longs if we reclaim this level. And what I mean by that is this is effectively your range here. On the weekly, this is your OTE right in here. So if I pull my fib from this low to this high, I'm pretty sure the 62 to 79 is this area right here, or pretty damn close, just eyeballing it. Your invalidation is all-time high, right? So if we come up here, this is a short. The reason it's a short is because the market structure here is bearish on the weekly. We broke every key weekly swing low on this down move. So you have to be looking to sell resistance with the assumption that we are going to make a lower high and ultimately a lower low. Okay? That is the assumption that you have to make. And this is the exact same setup that played out of the daily that gave you this short here. The reason I love this, and this would be just nasty in my opinion, is you have bearish market structure here. Look at how bullish people got when we hit 40K, right? I posted that chart where I was like, they're bullish, they're bearish, they're bullish, they're bearish. And that's just continued. Oops. Imagine how bullish people will be if we all of a sudden trade back up here. They will completely ignore that we are bearish market structure, that we just are basically retracing part of a 50% dump. Everyone will be screaming for all-time highs. This would be the perfect area to nuke it again. And if you're wrong, right, we're in a downtrend. On every high time frame other than the monthly, we are in a downtrend. The weekly, the daily, the 12-hour, the H4, it's all in a downtrend. So you have to assume that this is resistance here. So if we come up here and we show weakness, you short the shit out of this, you tether up, you hedge with the anticipation of it being a lower high. The best case scenario for the bulls is we do this and then we reclaim it, right? If we reclaim this monthly level, flip this order block, you just get long again. Yes, you lost out on a little bit of here, right? But the potential downside was massive. It's worth being safe and having to buy in slightly higher than it is holding all of your shit here that you bought down here only to round trip it all the way back down. Okay? Something like this maybe, right? Put in a higher low and then, maybe 1 or 2, 3 tests and then break out. That would be bullish. Oops. Right? But what could happen is we could come up here, right? Show weakness and then we're fucked, right? This would catch everyone in my opinion. Everyone would get bullish into this area because that's what happens. It will push up just high enough for you to question your I'm shorting here, I'm shorting here, I'm shorting here. And then it will get there and it will push just high enough that you're like, maybe not. And then it nukes, right? And then you close your shorts and then it nukes. That's exactly what happened to me here on the daily. That would be nuts to me. So this is a super interesting area for me. I would love to see price come up and test here. Again, if you're wrong, you have a great opportunity to flip long on a reclaim or if it puts in a higher low and you've only lost out on a bit of gain. Whereas if you're right, you've just kind of shorted the lower high before what you would assume becomes another lower low, right? So that's a super key kind of range here that I'm watching on the weekly. This low to this high, right? Or this low effectively. And then this area being untested. Maybe we come up here, we trap everyone into thinking that the bull market is back on and then it nukes. Or maybe the bull market is back on, we come up here, put in a higher low. Now I'm long again. Happy days, right? So in terms of the weekly chart, if you're trading within this weekly range, what do you think you want to be doing where we are right now? You're not shorting, not on the weekly, right? Obviously, we can break down from here. But on the weekly chart, if this is your trading range, you want to be either sitting on your hands and waiting, or you want to be looking for signs to get bullish here on the lower time frames, expecting a move up to at least fill in some of the range. If this is the weekly range that we're in, when you're in the lower 1/3, you want to be looking for longs with the expectation that we're either going to go up into the upper 1/3 or at least to the range high, right? In a range bound environment, I'm trading from high to low, low back to high. That's the goal, right? So when we're in the lower part of the range, you don't short down here. If we break down, absolutely, you could short a breakdown of the range, right? But just from a weekly perspective, this is the trading range from this high to this low. We're in the lower part of the range. I'm not looking for high time frame shorts down here. I want to see a bounce, right? The weekly short setup is all the way up here. This doesn't mean that if we can't break down from here, we can, but that would be a lower time frame trade, right? Because it would be a lower time frame range where we're in the upper part of the range. Based on the weekly range, you're either not doing shit or you're looking for reasons to potentially get long in terms of expectation that we are going to retrace some of the range before continuation. Okay? Hopefully that made sense. That was a lot of fucking talking and knowledge there. But hopefully that was helpful, because that is super key. What I'm going to show you on the low time frames is exactly that, just on the low fucking time frame. All right, someone give me a sign of life in the chat here. We got 600 people watching. Holy shit. This guy says, we are back inside the previous weekly breakout range. Bottom is in above 44. Down only 14K bottom. No way they give you a chance. You sound like a fucking idiot, bro. Stop speaking in certainties. Unless you can show me your trade log and you shorted like 64K and then you long the Pico low and you're going to short the next Pico tops, shut the fuck up. Like, you don't know for sure what's going to happen. If you did, you would be a billionaire. You wouldn't be spending your Sunday listening to some random dude on the internet talk about charts. Don't speak in certainties. Certainties are going to fuck you up in trading because you're like, this has to happen. Well, what happens if it doesn't? Then you're fucked. You have no plan. Trading is a game of, if this happens, then I do that. That's how I approach every trade, right? That's why whenever I post stuff with like an up or down scenario, people go, oh, up or down. That's how I know that person has no clue what they're talking about, because that's exactly how trading works. If this happens, I'm going to do this. If that happens, I'm going to do that. That's how I trade. That's how most traders trade. No one speaks in certainties because you don't know. You're not the one making the market. We can go to 55K and then make a lower low. What are you going to do then? You're like, oh, 44K, the top, the bottom is in for sure, right? Like, it's just silly to have this like absolute attitude, like this has to happen, this is going to happen. Everyone thought 6K was the floor. Everyone thought we were going to 100K. Look what the fuck happened now. Plans change. So stop speaking in such certainties, man. Like, it's gonna ruin you in trading. Trust me, I've been doing this for like 8 years now. And all of the trades where I was so confident that something was going to happen and then it didn't, I ended up screwing myself over because I had no plan for if I was wrong, right? So I'm not trying to sound like a dick, even though it's coming off that way, but it annoys me when people like come in the chat and say shit like that, because there's other people that are going to listen to you and go, this random dude told me this, therefore I'm going to do it. So, yeah. Don't speak like as if you know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen, or else like you should be a billionaire by now. Give me some money and go away. Like, what are you talking about? Anyways, so So weekly levels of interest, right? This area of demand, okay? This area of supply, and then our weekly range is here. From that high to this low. This is the weekly trading range. Okay, there's a different range on the lower time frame that we're going to get into, but in terms of the weekly range, this is our trading range. The market structure leading into the range is bearish. That is something to note. We're into the lows. There's demand at the lows. And what is up here? If I throw my OTE on, what do you think I'm going to find? I bet you, like I said, that 6.2 to 7.8 lines up with our monthly level and lines up with that supply. I'm going to throw it on just anyways for visual purposes. And there you go. The 7.5 and the 7.9 are right in there. And the 6.2 is just below. Right? So if you're an ICT trader like I am, bearish market structure, retest the OTE, bearish order block, what do? You fucking short it. Reclaim the 7.9 and that monthly level. I would probably say this idea is invalidated and you flip long. Simple as that. This is when the bottom is in, right? That's when the bottom is in. And I know that it's nice to be like the bottom is in if we get above here. I'm telling you right now, we can go way higher than 44K and still dump, right? So you got to get that kind of idea out of your mind. I'm not trying to make like an example of you. Ignore the people in the chat. Like, I'm just saying, bro, like, especially if you're new, stop thinking with an absolutist attitude because it's going to screw you over. If you have a bias being like, this has to happen, any information that goes against that bias, you're going to subconsciously ignore. And it's going to make you miss trades. If you're like, the bottom is in above 44K, what happens if we get above 44K and then we start breaking down? Are you just going to only long because the bottom has to be in, right? So you can't think like that. Maybe I came on a little strong, man. I don't know. A little bit of extra caffeine in my coffee cup, I guess. I'm taking Floyd Mayweather. I don't think it's worth betting on Floyd Mayweather because the odds are ridiculous. Logan has a puncher's chance, but I would say Floyd Mayweather's going to win. Just watching them train side by side, like Floyd Mayweather's a master, man. It's insane. Okay, so is everyone with me in terms of where we are on the weekly idea, the weekly range, all that shit that I just yelled about for the last God knows how long? Does everyone get it? Cool. All right, so I will get to the chat and answer some questions in a bit. I'm just gonna finish analyzing Bitcoin and then we'll get into the chat here, okay? So this is our weekly trading range. This is our weekly levels of interest. My general idea on the weekly is we either chop around here and then go test here, okay? Or we run these lows and then go test here. That's kind of my general idea on the weekly for Bitcoin right now, if I had to guess. Again, if this happens, I'm longing this, right? If we get a breakout above like 40K, I'll get long there, right? There's different scenarios I'll get into on the low time frame, but if this happens, I'm gonna do that, right? Cool. So now let's go down to the daily. Okay. So the daily, what you're going to start seeing now, I'm going to delete this weekly range here. Or can I just make this disappear? How do I get it back though? Wait. No. Hold on. Shoot. Where is my object? Oh, here it is. Object tree. Right? Okay. Okay, cool. So within this weekly range, we're trading within this weekly demand. We have a daily range that we can now break price further down into to look for trades, right? So every price swing that you see in the chart is its own range. Every daily candle, right, is its own trading range. And so everything that I'm telling you in this video, you can apply on any time frame, any way that you want. You can use a daily candle, a weekly candle, a monthly candle, an hourly candle, and it will create a range that you can then take trades on within that range, right? So within this weekly demand, right, what do we have here? I'm gonna click, what do I want to do here? Okay, I'm just gonna go like this. I'm going to go like this. Okay, I'm just gonna delete everything for 1 second. Hopefully this works. We can use this weekly candle as a range here. And when you go down to the daily, you can see that the range low, right, got bought up. And then the mid-range has acted as support. And then there's supply at the upper part of the range that is acting as resistance. So within the range of this weekly candle, which was that weekly demand, we're trading in the upper part of the range and we're finding resistance there. So your bias would actually be to look for shorts into the bottom of the range, or at least into the mid-range, based on this range here, okay? Another way that you can break this down is going into the daily here. I'm gonna actually go the 12-hour just for a couple more candles. It's effectively the same thing though. Is this range. So you can use that weekly range or you can use this range. It doesn't matter, it accomplishes the same thing. Now, we're just trading here. So all that bias flipping that you've seen on Twitter, that you're having in your own charts, in your own mind, is just this, right? So if we're bullish within this trading range, this area here is where I want to be looking for longs. I like how I draw a rectangle and I have a tool that will do that for me, right? This is where you want to be looking for longs. This is where you want to be looking for shorts. And until price decisively moves out of one side of this or does some sort of, deviation, every trade should just be based on longing near the range lows, looking for shorts near the range highs. And if you did that this week, you could have had a long and then a short back into the EQ, right? So there's a trade there. As much as this might be unreadable to some people, what is the idea for the long here? Well, within this range, we're now into our lower 1/3. You're targeting the upper 1/3 and into resistance. So there was a trade here, but you had to be looking for longs in the right place and you had to be taking profit at resistance, knowing that this is a range, that the trend is bearish. So if you're in a long, you're counter trend and you're within a range, you got to take profit at resistance. You can't just leave your entire trade on hoping that this is the one that breaks out, because we could do another low, right? And then we could do another one before it breaks out. You don't know that you caught the low and you don't want to long here, ride it to here and then give it all back, close it only to find it to go, right? So within this trading range here, there's been multiple opportunities here, here, and right where we are now to potentially look for longs. We're putting in higher lows. We're below the midpoint of the range. I don't like longing here as much because it's at the 50. I like longing in the lower 1/3 of the range. So the 0.62 to the 7.9, right? That's where I like to look for longs. And then into the mid-range and then obviously in towards the range highs. I like it a lot less at the 50 because yes, this is a potential higher low, but we failed to put in a higher high here. We basically rejected right off of resistance, right? But all you need to do is say, okay, if I'm bullish within this range, if we run any of these lows, right, there might be an opportunity to get long. Remember, this has an equal low way over there on the weekly. So maybe we come down, we run one of these lows, give you an SFP. Now you have a bias, you have a trigger, and you have a reason to be looking for longs, and then you can go on the low time frame and dial in your entry. Okay, we ran a key low into the lower 1/3 of the range where I'm bullish, and now I'm going to go try and find a setup, but my targets are going to be conservative. Back into the mid-range, up into resistance. I'm not going to be targeting 60K from here, right? And it goes the exact same on the reverse. If we run any of these swing highs and then break down SFP or just print bearish market structure, we're in the upper 1/3 of the range where you're looking for shorts. The lead-in trend is also bearish, so that is an additional piece of confluence. You're now going to be looking for shorts into the mid-range and then back into one of these lows into areas of demand. You're not just going to target 14K from here, right? Can you leave runners on? Can you trail stops? Can you compound your position? Absolutely, you can do all that kind of stuff. That's a completely different conversation for another video. But this is how you want to be trading within the range. You want to know, where are you getting bullish? Where are you getting bearish? As in, where am I looking for longs? Where am I looking for shorts? Where am I taking profit? And then where am I not trading? Where do you want to not really trade? Probably right at the mid-range, right? You don't really want to trade right at the mid-range. You guys are killing me in the chat. Okay, so does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. I think that was a pretty thorough explanation. So we're going to zoom in again here, and I'm going to show you a range within a range. It's going to be like Inception. But this is the essence of I don't even want to call it a strategy, but how to analyze the market when it's going sideways. Break it down into a range, which then gives you tradable levels, and it gives you areas to then look for longs or shorts. It's very visual here. Every time we've come into the lower 1/3 of the range, we've bounced. Every time we've come into the upper 1/3 of the range, we've sold off, right? So eventually this range will break out in either direction, right? Or maybe it will break out and then fail. But you have now a framework where this is no longer just chop, right? What everyone is posting on their chart here is this, right? Everyone's got this. All this shows you is a range, right? This is just a range. You're buying the bottom of the triangle, you're shorting near the top, and eventually it's going to break out, or maybe it will fake out and then break down, or fake down and then break up. But all they're showing you is a range. The problem I have with the triangle is you can kind of sometimes have to fit the lines to make sense. Oh, well, was that the breakout? Or no, we're going to draw it here now, right? Is this the triangle? Oh, no, now it's over here. So I don't like diagonals as much as I like horizontal lines. I feel like horizontal lines are easier to find. They're also easier to stick to because there's no kind of fitting your line. Because this was the triangle angle originally, right? It was this wick to this wick. Okay. Well, now that we have a new low here, well, now I'm going to make my line a little bit less sloped. Okay, is this a breakdown, or am I just going to make it even a little? Maybe the triangle starts here, right? Like, you're going to be fitting this shit to your bias a little bit. That's just what I think. What this triangle does show you is that price is compressing, right? So one thing that you won't get out of the range, right, is unless you just start to see it visually because you stare at charts for umpteen hours a day like I do and like most of you do, I can see here that volatility is drying up, right? This move is big. This move is big, but it's smaller. This move is still big, but it's smaller, right? Maybe this next move is just like this. What am I showing you here? I'm showing you a triangle. But I don't need a triangle to see that volatility is coming, right? That price is compressing. I don't need a triangle to see that. I can use my eyes. Some people like to use the triangle because when you get to the end or near the end, you know a breakout is likely coming. There's other ways that you can see this with indicators. You can use moving averages, right? You can use Bollinger Bands. If I threw the Bollinger Bands on here, they're going to be wide here, and then they're going to be starting to constrict as we get towards the end of the consolidation. And then what happens? Pop, right? You're going to get that period of volatility where then they expand again, right? So within this daily range, 12-hour range, we actually have another range within this range. So down here, I'm bullish, right? Well, I can also take a range from this low to this high. And if I then switch this to my regular fib, what do we have here? We're in the lower 1/3 of the range. This is where I want to be looking for longs. So not only are we in the lower 1/3 of the bigger range, we're in the lower 1/3 of the smaller range within there. That's extra confluence for me to want to look for longs here. And I posted this on Twitter. When we broke down here, I said, this is where I want to get long, and we wrote it into here, right? And you can see we're still respecting the levels. Came in, got the nice reaction, back into the 6-2, we're holding. So for the bulls, you want to see what? A higher high. That's what you want to see, right? For the bears, you want to see a lower low, right? That's going to be your trigger for bearishness or shorting here. We'll get into that in a second. But now I'm layering a range within a range to give me extra confluence here. And now within this area of price, I can now go and zoom in. And what I'll do here is I will block it off. So here is my 0.62 area. Okay. Oops. What am I doing here now? Now you have an area to work in, right? Because when we're trending super hard, right, you're just drawing SR levels, right? Here's your order block maybe, and you're just buying, selling, right? It's nice and easy. When we're in a range, it's a little bit trickier to know where you want to do business. And so that's the idea of what I'm showing you. Now we've gone from the daily 12-hour chart. We actually started with the weekly. We're in the lower part of the weekly trading range. Okay. Then we drilled it down to the daily and the 12-hour. We're in the lower part of the daily and 12-hour range. Now I'm all the way down to the hourly. Okay. That range. So we have our daily range, right? And then within it, we have our hourly range. And we're in the lower 1/3 of that. So now I have an area and price that I can hone in on and do what? I can look for longs. I can look for longs. My targets are going to be based on near-term resistance levels because we are in a macro downtrend. We are in a range-bound environment, so I'm not targeting 60K, but there is a bunch of trades from here up into here, a bunch of different ways that you could have gotten in. This alone was a long, right? This alone was a long. We pulled back into the 0.62, right into an hourly bullish order block. Okay, that could have been your long. Or you're zooming in. Oops, I want that back. You're zooming in and you're getting long based on maybe this order block. Maybe you're getting long based on this SR flip. Right? Because you have a premise, a bias, key levels where it's like, okay, down here I'm bullish. Now go in on your low time frame and start looking for that bullish setup that you know. Keep in mind that your targets have to be, right? We came into bearish order block. What did we do? We sold right off. That tells you that the bears are in control. When you see this really slow bullish grind, and then once we hit a key resistance level, we absolutely dump off it. This tells you who is kind of in control right now, right? When you see that staircase up, elevator down, usually that means it was a struggle to get it up there. And then as soon as it found selling pressure, it completely nuked, right? So, but that doesn't change the fact that we had 4 days here and even more time here if you want to get long here. Still nothing wrong with that because, again, we can do another range from here to here. Actually, I like, well, this low to this high, that's an OTE. this low to this high, that's the 50%. And you're bullish based on that high time frame, weekly, daily range broke down to the hourly. So it's okay to be looking for longs here, assuming you know that you have to take profit at resistance. There was a bunch of days here where you could have got into longs. And now that we're selling off, you can do the exact same thing, but in reverse. You can say, okay, well, now I'm going to be shorting any sort of move into, maybe if this is your new range, if we move up here, you can now take a short there, right? Based on us being below, in the upper 1/3 of this range, right? So you can break every single time frame into its own range, and then you can go down another time frame, layer your ranges. So within a daily range, there's going to be an hourly range, right? And then you can have areas now where you can zone in and say, okay, here's where I'm looking for shorts. Here's where I'm looking for longs. You know how to get into shorts. You know how to get into longs. Now you know where to look for that setup. If your long setup is, this, like let's say that's your go-to bread and butter long setup. You wait for a breakout and you buy a retest of the broken out high with your stop here. That's totally fine. This setup is nothing without context, right? Without the context of why I'm looking for longs here, if we're in a big downtrend, right, this might work sometimes, but it's going to get blown out a bunch of times, and you're going to be like, what the heck? Why do I keep getting stopped out on my longs? Well, what's the context? Are we in an area of support? Are we in an area where you should be looking for longs? What is the preceding trend, right? And if all those things are bearish, no wonder your long setup's not working, but I bet you your short setup would work. So when you know how to get into the trade, that's one part of the equation. The other part of the equation is, why am I looking for that setup here? What is the context? Am I in an area where I want to be bullish, an area where I want to be bearish? Okay, great. Once those things line up, then those setups are going to have a higher probability. It's not going to be every time. We can be in an uptrend. We can come into support. You can find your little entry pattern and it cannot work. That's trading, right? It's not going to work every time. But when you stack the deck in your favor, right, the probability of these things working out is much higher. And that's all we're doing here. By layering those ranges, I'm now stacking the deck saying, okay, this is where I'm going to be interested in longs. This is where I'm going to be interested in shorts. And then it's gravy, right? So now you're making sense out of the chop. Now you have areas where I'm looking for longs, I'm looking for shorts, as opposed to just being like, this is untradeable. This is not my ideal area to kind of trade. I much prefer to trade in big trending environments, and I'm just buying big pullbacks near support and longing the piss out of it. But you're not going to get that all the time. So what I'm giving you here is a framework that you can now go and study and practice, where when we're in a sideways range-bound environment, you can go find trades. And within an uptrend on the daily or the weekly, right, there's going to be periods of consolidation on the low time frame, right, where you can then apply this exact kind of, I don't even want to call it a strategy, but this exact type of analysis to get into trades. If we're in an uptrend on the high time frame, when we're putting in that higher low, on the low time frame, there's going to be a period of consolidation, or in this case, it would be accumulation because we're going up versus distribution before we go down. You can then draw this out into a range and use that and say, not only am I bullish here because we're in the part of the range where I want to be bullish high time frame, but on the low time frame, we're also in the part of the range where I want to be bullish. So I'm expecting continuation of the upside. I've now drilled down to the low time frame, found a range within the range, right, where I'm now looking to get long, and boom, you've just stacked the deck in your favor. It's going to give you way more high probability trading opportunities. Okay, so hopefully this fucking made sense. I've been talking for an hour already. It's crazy. All right, I'm going to check the chat here for a moment, guys. Hopefully this made sense. I just broke the chart down from the weekly, the monthly, all the way down to an hourly, and showed you why you can now be getting long, why it made sense for me to get long, because I posted that long on Twitter, right? we're in the weekly range. Okay, we're in the lower part. The daily range, we're in the lower part. The hourly range, so within this daily range, right here, we have an hourly range that we came into the lower part of. So a range within the weekly range, within the daily range, and within the hourly range. This is a high confidence setup, right? Layer, layer, layer. All of a sudden, now I know where I'm looking for longs within this range. And it goes in the reverse as well, right? We are still within this trading range here. So if I inverse this, this is where you want to be getting out, right into supply, right into the upper part of the range. This is where you want to be looking for shorts or hedging, taking profits, etc. Right? So if we come back into here, what do you think you want to do? We're in the upper part of the range. We're making lower highs. Within the daily range, we're in the upper part. Within this smaller range, we're in the upper part. And if I zoom in on the low time frame, from here to here, we would be in the upper part of the range. So this area, this 37 to 38K area, is a short opportunity. If there's weakness there, if there's a reason to get short, right? We can zoom in a little bit. I'll show you. I'm going to mark out this high here. So we have that high time frame range here. What do we have within the high time frame range? A low time frame range. This is like bread and butter, right? Bearish market structure here on the hourly. High time frame range, we'd be in the upper area here. So if we get some sort of push up here into the mid range, we run these highs and we see some sort of rejection. SFPs right into a bearish order block. Maybe it comes as high as the 0.62. You could short this. You could wait. If we get a move up above here, you could wait for us to break back below the mid-range. Now you have a short entry and invalidation. Or maybe we get a deeper pullback into here, the upper part of the range, run this key daily high, right, into demand or supply, excuse me. And again, you could short it. You could wait for a sign of weakness, right? If we come up here, reject, put in a lower high and then a lower low, maybe that's your trigger. Maybe you're patient. Maybe you just short it with your stop here right off the bat. It's up to you. I'm not here to tell you how to enter the trade. I'm just telling you where to look. But this is the exact same thing that I just spent the last 40 minutes explaining, but on the bearish side, right? Because we're within a range. So when we're at the range low, I want to be looking for a lower time frame confluence areas to get bullish. When we're near the range high or the upper part of the range, I want to be looking for low time frame confluence, which is what I'm showing you here, for potential short opportunities. So right now, there's no long for me here unless you're long from lower. But if we have some sort of bearish reaction between 37 and like 38.5, you could short this back into this low probably pretty confidently. Okay? So this was a lot of fucking explanation going on. I just did like an entire fucking breakdown of something that can be used on any time frame, any asset, any market, whatever you want. You can apply this logic. So you fuckers better appreciate it, you know? Drip in the alpha. You're going to have people now teaching you this on Twitter after watching this video. They're going to do a thread on it. Okay, cool. So I'm glad this makes sense. This is definitely going to be a stream to rewatch, right? Because there's a lot of kind of educating going on, not as much market analysis going on. So yeah, real quick thoughts on Bitcoin, right? Looking at the H12, yes, we're putting in higher lows. We're also putting in lower highs. The key areas of interest for me, right, are going to be if we get a test up in here, what does that look like and what does that result in? Okay. Also here, I think on a first test, this is a short. I think if we flip this, you can long it into here. Okay. First test short, flip it, long it into there. And if I go down to the hourly, you pull your fib from here to here. There's that key high. That is the short setup. Okay. So if that plays out, that's how you trade it. And I think you target probably this low. Okay. Now, zooming out a little bit, a run of these lows here, right? So within this weekly trading range, remember this guy? Remember this range? So zooming out a bit, consolidation happening right at the mid-range here. No trade for me here personally on the long side right now. What I could see happen is a run below all these lows, right? Everyone who's been building longs down here, sorry, you're stopped out. And then we run these equal lows here. So all of these lows, this low here, we run those lows. If we do something like that and then reclaim the range low, that would be a long. Again, trend is down. You take some off here. Flip the EQ. You take some off here. Flip this order block, obviously. Then we're talking that 55K area. All of these long opportunities are just a way that we get from this demand here up into this supply up here. So whether it happens from here, right, or it has to run these lows, I don't know yet. We're going to have multiple scenarios planned. So if we run the lows and do this, we are interested here because we thought it was potentially possible. If you think going down here is impossible and then this happens, you're going to miss that trade, right? Or maybe we get bullish here, right? And then, okay, all of a sudden we're long here and we're targeting up into there. Who knows, right? So let's wait and see. I would like to be bullish, but for now, that one short setup here is something I'm eyeing. This range and move up here. If we get weakness, I think that's a short worth taking. All right, I'm going to cover Ethereum now. I'm not going to go over all of this range shit on Ethereum. Definitely rewatch this video. But all I'm explaining here is how you can fucking identify levels using ranges, and then you trade it level to level. I've been saying that for the last like 10 days. Trade level to level until the trend is clear. Get long at an area of support, target an area of resistance, level to level. Get bearish or short near resistance, take profit, look to get long again or hedge, whatever, near support. Level to level until we have some clear trend, and that will happen. This can only consolidate for so long before it eventually leads to either a break to the upside or a break to the downside. Once we have that happen, we can get into more kind of high conviction trades. Cool. So let's look at Ethereum right now. So Ethereum has all these levels from my last video still on here, but this is just a range. So the long on Ethereum, right, was just a range from here to here. We dipped into the OTE. That's a trade that you could have taken over the last 10 days. There was a monster long here on Ethereum, like 25+% from this low to there. All it was a retracement into the range. What are we doing? We're interested in longs down here, right? You zoom in, look what you have, right? You have bullish setups forming. This is your high time frame bias. You're interested in longs here. What do you have? Bullish order block, bullish SFP, a breaker. You have a range within the range, low, high. There's your 0.62 pullback into your high time frame 0.62 pullback. So those levels are going to be layered on top of each other. There's your invalidation. Multiple reasons to get interested in being a bull here. So even if you didn't just blind long the 0.62, why aren't you longing this? I longed Bitcoin on effectively this exact setup. Excuse me, I should have longed Ethereum. Higher beta play, it moved more, and Ethereum's market structure looks significantly better than Bitcoin. Ethereum looks way better than Bitcoin. And you can see that in FBTC being up and F being up while Bitcoin is effectively flat to start the day. But again, now I know where I'm looking to get long and where I'm going in on the low time frame to find my setup. And you can go all the way down. You degens on the low time frame, right? If you're a scalper, do you not see a setup either in here or in here that you can get long on? Of course you do, right? There's a swing failure pattern right into your key level. Soon as this candle closes, you can enter that with your stop there, right? Way over here, there's your untested, your kind of your bullish order block. Within a lower time frame range. So within that huge weekly range, what is this? What do you think will happen if I put the fib on? Right into the OTE. So you have the high time frame OTE lining up with a 5-minute order block and range OTE that you can trade within. So layer this shit, right? You can do this on any time frame you want. All I'm helping you do is just make clarity of places where you want to do business, right? What are levels where I want to look for a trade? If it's not at one of those levels, I'm not taking a trade. I'm sitting on my hands and I'm waiting. Okay. So on Ethereum here, I'm gonna just back up. I had all of these levels, right? Very quickly, we had our key monthly level. So you can see why Ethereum looks better than Bitcoin. Like, yes, this candle is ugly, but you look at the monthly here and the monthly there, what looks better? Ethereum, right? This looks awful. This looks like it just had a huge move up. This isn't beautiful by any means, but it's definitely looking better than Bitcoin. And if you zoom in on the lower time frame, right, even this consolidation looks stronger than Bitcoin because this looks like it's still potentially, a higher low, where Bitcoin looks like, clearly on the daily and everything, very much bearish, more bearish. So Ethereum looks better than Bitcoin, hence Ethereum BTC being bullish. So this consolidation is a lot more promising than Bitcoin. So I have that range here. This weekly demand is where we came into, right? We pushed up into, where are we now relative to this range? So this low to this high. So we came into the weekly demand, we SFP'd, we had a huge move up. We came into the range low, not the range low, but into the lower 1/3. We got to push up. Now where are we trading? So relative to Bitcoin, this is that 28 to 32K block, and this is that 55K area. So I'm hoping that we're trading from here up into here. That's my hope. Same with Bitcoin going to the 55K area. That's the same idea. However, and Ethereum looks a lot more promising. However, on Ethereum, where Bitcoin is dicking around at the EQ, Ethereum is trading at the range high. So I'm just going to delete all of this for a moment. We want to be looking for reasons to get short here, because the assumption is still sideways. If we break out, right, obviously we'll go higher, but the assumption is that we're going sideways for now. And I'm going to leave on this key level. You'll see why in a second. As you can see, key SR. So within this range, this is where I want to be looking for shorts. Down here to down here is where I want to be looking for longs, right? So are we going to break out from here? Possibly, but this is not where I want to long. If we get a breakout, by all means, long. If we can reclaim that monthly level, the 2770 level effectively, which is just the monthly close, sure, let's get into longs. That's the same as the Bitcoin bias and validation level I gave you. But for now, if the assumption is that we're going to continue ranging, meaning we're going to trade back into the range, when we're in the upper part of the range, that is where you want to look for opportunities to short, for weakness, and trade it back into the range. So if I zoom in on Ethereum here, still too early to tell, but we're in the upper part of the range, okay? We have formed bearish market structure here into supply. Sorry, right here. So I'm going to highlight this like that. I'm going to zoom in now. So we've come in. We're at the on the high time frame. We're in the upper part of the range, meaning we're looking for reasons to potentially short. And what do you have here? You have a lower high. You have a break in market structure, right? You have another break in market structure here. We're looking for potentially a lower high to form, whether it's here or it's relative to this high. So if I'm looking at this right now, I'm probably going to think that we might get some sort of push, range within a range, into here. There's that key monthly level. There's that 12-hour bearish order block. And this would be the upper part of the range of this smaller range. So if we get some sort of move like this, that is going to be your high confidence short. Same as that move on Bitcoin to, just over 38K or whatever it was, 37,500, whatever it was. Same idea here. If we get up here and we show weakness, that's going to be a short setup for you to take, because we are in the upper part of the high time frame range. We're in the 12-hour bearish order block. We're showing some bearishness on the hourly, and we would also be trading in the upper part of an hourly range within a range, and you would expect us to trade back into that high time frame range. The high time frame range being this one. So for profit taking within this lower range, where do you think we're going to go? So let's say this short works out. Take some off here. Take some off at the 50. And then you could probably leave a piece for down here. Right? Because we're expecting that this high time frame range, which is from here, and here's the EQ and the range low you can't see, we're going to be trading back in. So as much as this is your profit taking target based on the hourly range, there's a lot of high time frame confluence here for this to be a potential short, to trade back into the much larger range. Remember, the preceding trend is still bearish, blah, blah, blah. Again, in validation, right, if we start trading above here, then you get long with an expectation that we're going to move into that demand, right? If we reclaim this, give me all my levels back, give them back. If we reclaim this key monthly high, then we can flip long and target this area here. And that would be confluent with me with Bitcoin moving into the mid to high 40s, maybe even into the 50s. All right, so that's Ethereum for you, right? We're in the upper part of this range. We're looking for signs of weakness to potentially short. back into the range, because until we have confidence that we're no longer in a ranging environment, I expect moves in the range high to get rejected and moves near the range low to get bought up. Hopefully that all makes sense, guys. Like nothing has changed on this chart in 7 days, really, right? All we've done is move from here to here in 7 days, right? So I want to be bullish. Like I want to trade up to here, but where we are right now is not a long. You either long a breakout, meaning we're going above here, then we're going here, or you long in the lower part of the range. So unless you longed here on Ethereum, this past week, I don't think you long here. This is where you take profit on your long, or at least some profit, expecting us to at least trade back into here and maybe even all the way back into the range lows, right? So there's no long here into resistance. Wait for price to show you what it wants to do. If it wants to go up, which we don't know, if it wants to go up and tag 3K or 3,200, we will see bullish price action on the low time frame. We'll see higher lows and higher highs, and then we'll see key high time frame levels get reclaimed. Reclaim the monthly, make a higher high. Absolutely, I'm now longing dips into here. If we make a higher high above here, I will long dips into here. Until then, if I'm not already long, I'm either looking to short here or doing nothing and waiting. All right. Oh. So I think this is a lot of information for you guys to digest. So we've got the daily close here in a couple of minutes and the weekly close. We'll take a look at what that looks like. I am going to be doing another section of this video now. So that is Ethereum and Bitcoin. I've given you potential short setups. I've given you where are we looking for longs and why, what breakout plays towards 50K, towards 3K we could look at on both. That's been nailed. And I've also given you a bunch of information about how to use ranges in your trading, so you can find areas where you want to do business, high probability areas to get long, short, yada, yada, yada. So definitely rewatch this video. I expect this video to be one of my more viewed videos because I think that first section on Bitcoin is super informative and it's not something you're going to pick up on a first try. You're going to need to watch it, and then you're going to need to go into your charts and start playing around with it, trying the ranges on, back testing, forward testing. The only way it's going to commit to memory is if you start doing it and seeing it. It's all fine for me to tell you what to do. It's a completely different beast when you got to do it yourself. All right, so we've got 1 minute here until the daily close, so we'll see what that looks like. Looking like a whole bunch of nothing on F. Kind of a whole bunch of nothing on Bitcoin as well. Definitely not a great looking weekly close on Bitcoin. Ethereum's weekly close looking substantially stronger. I mean, if you just look at these two things, like which of these looks better? If you're bullish and you want to look for longs, which of these two charts do you think is a better long? The weekly on Bitcoin has bearish market structure. The weekly on ETH still has bullish market structure. This is the swing low that led to the swing high. So ETH technically still has bullish weekly market structure. We came right into demand. We never went below the low. Whereas Bitcoin, the weekly market structure is bearish, right? This is a weekly key swing low, broken. This is a weekly key swing low, broken. So ETH is substantially more bullish. So if you're like, I only want a long trader Mayne, I don't want to look for shorts, you're better off looking to long Ethereum than you are Bitcoin. It's going to be the higher beta play. The market structure is also better. All right, so not a lot going on here to really say on the weekly. ETH looks substantially better. Okay, so new section for the video. I'm going to take a quick pee and then we'll get right back to it. So give me just a minute here. Let's try this new BRB. Put some music on for you guys. Just give me a half sec here. Just talking with the mic unmuted, sorry. Okay, so hopefully this is all clear to you guys. There's a lot going on there, but not a ton to make of. Weekly close on ETH looks way better than Bitcoin. This is a green weekly close. I don't love the higher wicks, but you want to wait again, right? Wait until the market shows you it wants to go up, or get long at logical levels. And that's what the entire start of this video was about. Where can I be looking for high probability longs, high probability shorts? All right. So, the sound's still not working. Should be working now. Okay. So I have a new section that I'm going to be, because what happens is I do these streams and they become super long and all I end up talking about is Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I have a new dedicated section that I'm going to cover altcoins on. But what I want to do is I'm going to include it as part of the stream. If there's enough interest, I'll make them my own standalone video. So I sent out a tweet last night and it got absolutely way too many responses to get to all of them. So I'm going to do my best to answer as many of the alt requests as possible. I do want to watch the Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather fight, so I'm going to try and keep this to like 30 minutes tops. We'll see what we can do. But it's just going to be like an altcoin review. I want to preface this with saying that I am being super, super careful with alts right now. Alts are effectively derivatives of Bitcoin, right? So they're going to be higher beta, meaning if Bitcoin goes up, alts will generally pump harder. If Bitcoin goes up, alts will generally, if Bitcoin goes down, alts will generally dump even harder, right? So where Bitcoin drops 40, 50%, some alts dropped 70%. And when Bitcoin pumped 30%, some alts pumped 80%. So what do I mean by that? Yes, there can be a lot of money made both on longs and shorts on alts, right? A lot of alts look absolutely decimated. But it doesn't mean you can't apply these same range trading, level to level concepts on these alts. Just this is not the time, in my opinion, unless you're like looking out super high time frame to just start aping into alts. Because if you have an alt that is down 60%, right? And you're like, well, what's the worst that can happen? It can go down another 30. Well, it's like, well, if you bought it after a 60% drop, it can drop another 60%. And then it can drop another 60% from there. So if you're just starting to buy into these alts with no rhyme or reason, people who haven't been around for a long time will forget that these, or will not know that these things can go down forever, right? And then all it takes is the bull market to start, and then boom, one candle's erased all that selling. But that selling can be relentless, and it can keep cutting in value in half multiple times before it finds a bottom, right? So don't, like, I mean, maybe the low is in and you've got some generational entries, or maybe you got the low for a bounce into a lower high and then it's just going to cut in half again, right? So don't get caught bag holding shit is basically what I'm saying. So with alts, with the uncertainty we have, is the bull market on or not? We don't know for sure. I wouldn't be investing in alts here per se. It's more like, hey, here's an opportunity to continue to trade both long and short and maybe get more percentages, right? A bigger, more volatility, higher beta plays trading some alts, right? So this section of the video is sponsored by Blue Zell. So shout out to Blue Zell. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but I've left their information in the description of the video. Their tag is at BLUZELLEHQ, and they're a database. They've recently let us know about Blue Zell 2.0. So it's a database. There's file storage, but its use case is actually for NFTs. So they're going to be launching a major NFT platform in the coming weeks. And then a wider release for everyone else. So you can now have your NFTs stored on Blue Zell, easy for you to access, and it's secure, can't be taken down. So if you're an NFT person, check out Blue Zell, and shout out to them for sponsoring this section of the video. I'll leave their information in the description of the video if you want to check out what that is. So I'm going to, shut up. I see you, Seb. Leave me alone. I'm dyslexic, dude. Don't you know? So I'm going to be doing my best to get into all of the alts. I got like over 200 comments on my tweet. So one of the curses of having a bigger account now is anytime I ask people to send me alt requests, I get like a bazillion. So I'm going to do my best. I will not get to them all. But I will do my best. Okay, so we will start, because they are the sponsor of this section of the video, with Blue Zell. We're going to take a look at their chart. And their chart looks like a lot of altcoin charts. Right, so big move up with Bitcoin, big drop. And this is exactly what I mean by higher volatility. So I want to be very clear about this section of the video. This is not just to pump you full of hopium and tell you it's all going to be all right. A lot of alts look really bad, right? So you have to be aware that maybe you're buying the bottom. Like, let's assume this is where you bought, right? You bought here because you're like, oh, the low has to be in. This can go down another 70% from here, right? So while it may only be down, 70% from here, 80% from here it can go down another 70%. It can keep doing that. So you don't want to get caught just assuming you've longed the bottom. But we're going to look for potential setups on some of these alts. But like I said, a lot of these things are in a downtrend. So be smart, take profit. Don't just assume that you caught the bottom. Jacob, I see you spamming the Woo chart. I see a bunch of you spamming the Woo chart. It's also one of the first comments. I will look at Woo. Okay. So weekly chart, bearish market structure. That's the first thing that jumps out at me, right? So I'm looking at this chart. I'm saying, okay, what am I looking for? Well, we are in a downtrend on the weekly. Now, using the exact same concept that we just covered on Bitcoin, what do we have here? We have a big weekly trading range, and we're trading into weekly demand. So what does that mean? It means on the lower time frame, I can be looking for a reason to get long down here for some relief. I do have to expect that it's probably just a lower high. Who knows? Maybe it's not. Maybe this is the low. But for now, the weekly market structure is bearish, so I'm keeping that in mind. Longs are counter trend, okay? And what I'm going to be looking for is a reason to get into some sort of shorter term long, because relative to this weekly range, we're in the lower 1/3 and we are into weekly demand. So I actually don't hate the Blue Zell chart here. So we'll zoom in now. Looking at the H12, what do we have here? So high time frame range, we're near the low. What do we have happening now down here on the H12? I've got a bullish swing failure pattern. I've got a low, a high, and a higher low forming, right? So I've got some bullish things happening on the low time frame. So there might be a long here on Blue Zell from here into like 38 cents. Okay, what is your setup? Based on the H12, you could enter right now. H12 bullish order block. Within this high time frame range, what do we have? We have a low time frame range. We have demand. There's your 0.62 right here. So you could technically long this right now. From here to here. Oops, sorry, I gotta pull this a little higher. Right? There's your demand. This is your lower part of the range. Stop would either go below the order block or down here. Targets would be into here and into here. So this is a potential setup right now. That being said, I would wait for Bitcoin or ETH, right? Because we're super close to resistance on these two. And what you could see is just this, right? So you want to be aware that this is not a confirmed, like, guarantee we're going higher. But this is an area based on the weekly, okay, and the 12-hour where you could be looking for longs. The confirmation for me on this one would be a close above here. And I know that sucks because longing from down here to up here is a way bigger move than from here to here. But making a higher high on the H12 would give me more confidence to long this into here. So personally, I would not long this yet. Is there a reason to long here? Yes. Lower part of the high time frame range, lower part of the smaller time frame range, clear stop either here or below the low, right? Because you have an SFP here, so you're definitely wrong below here. But for me personally, I want to see a move above here and a move above here, right? Because if we come here and fail, I don't want to be involved, or you could even short it. Or if we get a move above here, this to me making a higher high is the long I want to take. And as much as I would like to long it from here, because it's a bigger move, right? From here to here is 100%. Obviously that's sick. But from here to here is still a 35% move. There's nothing wrong with waiting for confirmation. We're in a high time frame downtrend. The more reasons I have to get long, confirmation, blah, 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 the more interested I am in that setup. Longing right now, based on F and BTC, potentially setting up shorts is way higher risk. If Bitcoin breaks out and ETH reclaims 2770, Blue Zell will be up here. And that's a way more confident long for me. So could long it now. I'm not personally going to long this here. I would rather wait for confirmation, but this is absolutely what you want to see. We're within the lower part of that high time frame range. We're into demand. We're in the lower part of the low time frame range. We're showing bullish market structure. We've got bullish things happening like swing failure patterns. Give me something a little bit more to get involved, and I'm interested. If we run this high and then fail back below, if you longed here, this would be get out of the long for me personally. Okay? All right, cool. So shout out to Blue Zell. Thank you for sponsoring this part of the video. There's a potential long setup. This actually looks okay. I mean, high time frame, I don't want to kid you, right? Like this looks like a full retrace of the entire move. That being said, I'm not shorting here on the high time frame. I'm interested in longing at least for some of this move to retrace, right? So we'll leave this on here. And we will move on to the next one. So I'm gonna track these. Blue Zell. I'm gonna track these here so we can track them. Okay. I will do Woo next. Everyone wants to see Woo. Woo trade. Is this it on Huobi? Okay. So, friggin', I hate getting old, man. My neck hurts now. My back hurts for no reason at all. I was in the tattoo chair for 8 hours, so maybe my body's just kind of fucked. So again, this one, the difference for me here is we've sold below demand. I would have liked to have seen this hold. Doesn't have to, but I would have liked that. What I'm seeing here, right, is essentially this range. Just jumps out at me. Is from here to here. Probably this. That's like on the high time frame. That's the next setup I see forming on Woo trade. Is a short. Right? We're coming up into resistance here. This is a big sell-off. Your expectation is a lower high based on the entire market being, potentially, changing trend. So, I mean, this was a nice little long right here. So, exact same thing. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but as soon as this shit starts sticking to you, kind of in your mind, you're going to start seeing it everywhere. Within this range, what am I doing in the lower part of the range? I'm not looking for shorts. Here's your low time frame range. Within the lower part of the high time frame range, look what happens. We come into the lower 1/3. You get bullishness. You get swing failure patterns. You get bought up down here. Right? So there was a nice little area to get long here. Into an order block. Nice move away. In terms of what I would do on this one, it looks like we're breaking out of this low time frame range here, which is great. This to me looks like the next area of interest. Within this big range, we have this range. You put your fib on. You have your 0.75, 0.79 overlapping with the 50, and then you have supply here. So I'm going to delete this lower range just because it's getting a little busy. But this is kind of where I'm looking on this one. Depending on what the rest of the market does, I would be pretty confident that this finds resistance in here. If we were to flip this, right, I don't even know if I'd want to long because you now have this high time frame resistance, which is in the upper 1/3 of this bigger range. But there's no long for me, I think, because this is an area where I would expect this to find resistance. If anything, if we have weakness here, on Woo trade, I would look to short this. Where am I interested in longing? Back down here. So if we get some sort of lower high here, I'm interested in longing here. I'm not interested in longing when we're this close to resistance. That's just me. Whatever you want to do is up to you. I don't even know what this coin is or what it does, but this is an area where I expect resistance. And we're very close to it. There's no setup for me here, at least on, the higher time frames. If anything, we're closer to a short than we are a long on this thing. If we do come up here and reject, what do I want to do? Okay, where's my next range? Is it here? Is it here? Wherever it ends up being. Okay, now I'm interested in longing higher low, right? Lower part of the range. I would look for a long down here. But this close to resistance, personally, not interested in a long on this thing. If you wanted to go lower time frame because you're like, I need to get in a long on this, what makes you want to long this right now? Right? You're chasing green candles here. Like at the very least, if this thing's going to go up, because it can, this is now the hourly chart. At the very least, wait for this to pull back. Right? Wait for it to come back here and then long with your stop here. Right? Because right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're working on our 7th green hourly candle in a row. Right? This is not when I want to get long. I want to wait. I want to long red candles. I want to long pullbacks. You want to short pumps. Right? This is almost setting up for an amazing short, because if this just pumps a little higher and then shows weakness, it's gonna sell off and at least retrace some of the move. Right? But I think if you're trying to long this here, you're chasing green candles. I think high time frame, right? It looks okay. Like this is a nice move. But again, the whole market looks like shit. What are the chances this thing just absolutely nukes through here? Probably pretty low, right? If anything, it's going to come up here and at least give you a higher low, right? So if you're trying to say, I want to build a position in Woo for the future, because I think the low is in, wherever this high is made, let's assume the high gets made there. Let's assume that this pump goes up to here and then it sells off. Well, what do you want to do? You want to long it in the lower part of that range for the next leg, right? But right now, just doesn't really make sense for me on any sort of high time frame to get in a long on this. I think a potential short could be setting up soon. And all a short is if you're bullish, all that a short means is you're going to get an opportunity to long it lower. Okay, so that is Woo done and dusted. So I'll get some of my drawings back on here. So we have, it looks like I analyzed it a bit here. And I think this was the area. So let's see what happens there. Okay. Woo USD done. Okay. TEL is the next one that is on the list. TEL. I mean, looks very similar to Woo. Right, like a lot of these alts, man, got absolutely decimated. Absolutely decimated. So, I mean, I don't hate this, right? But this to me is just like a classic pattern, right? This pattern. Whatever you want to call this, an ascending triangle. I don't know. Is it bullish or bearish? I don't know. But the levels to me are super clear, right? Like, again, do you want to long this right here? Can you? Yes, right? We retested demand. Maybe we just do this, right? But personally, this is resistance. What I like about this, resistance, 1 test, 2 test, 3 tests of the level. Each rejection has resulted in a higher low, right? So you could argue that that's bullish, right? Like it's rejecting from the same level over and over again, but it's failing to sell off harder. It's the inverse bouncy ball, right? Remember Bitcoin at 20K, tested 6K, weak bounce, tested 6K again, weaker bounce, right? Boom, and then boom. So this is the inverse of that. The sell-offs are weaker every time. So that's bullish, right? Descending triangle bearish, ascending triangle bullish. So you have that going for it. But personally, again, I don't really want to long. I mean, you could argue that we are near the low, right? So if you're going to long this thing, you want to long it at the higher lows, not into resistance. So you could argue we're near the lows here. Maybe this next push is the one that takes us higher. How I would trade this is I would wait for it to break out and then I would buy a pullback, right? So I would wait for this thing to break out of here, make a higher high, right? Because each one of these is a lower high. Give me a close through here. Now I'm getting long, targeting these highs here into this resistance because this is still a downtrend, right? Lower highs, lower lows. Market structure is bearish. So this level here on a first touch could act as resistance, right? But it doesn't mean that from here to here is not a trade, right? Just because alt may be making lower highs, you know, and going further down, this is a 30% opportunity to the upside, right? So I personally would wait for a breakout, a higher high above here as a reason to get long, right? Because we absolutely could come up here and then this could give up and then we're fucked, right? I don't know why that did that. Oh. Anyways. But yeah, looks okay. Pushing up into an interesting level. I would like to see it break above here. So I'm going to mark that level up before I personally get in a long. See if it can get above there. Then I might be interested in a long. Lower time frame, right? Again, completely different ball game. What is the range you're trading in? From here to here, right? Or this. It's up to you. But regardless, where are we? If this is our range. Are we in the area where I want a long? Not really, right? High time frame, we're not. If you're just looking at the low time frame, this is probably your range. And yeah, we're probably right around the EQ. You know? Yeah, you can long here. Again, we could come up to here though and then reject. So you want to be careful. Personally, not interested in this one until it gets above there, which is confluent with this range, right? This low to this high. Because we can come up here and then do this, right into resistance, right into the upper part of this range, right? But if we get above here, make a higher high on the H12, we've now left this range. Now I think I'm interested in a more confident long. And again, with Bitcoin and Ethereum being close to resistance, I'm not just wanting to long these hoping it breaks out, because if these reject, all of the alts will reject harder. But a lot of alts look primed. If Bitcoin and ETH both break out to the upside, a lot of alts are going to fly. And then, yeah, these are the trades that you want to get in because they're going to be higher beta. Okay. So we'll add this to our list. Okay. Next one here. We did Woo. Okay, someone wants to see Rune. Happy to oblige. So, Rune on the weekly. Oh, what did I do to my back? Came into demand, right? Big bounce. What are we really focused on here? There's your low. There's your high. Look what happened here. Oops. Came right into the OTE. Bang. And then when you zoom in, why does this not look as good? Hold on. Shouldn't this be? Am I tripping out here? I must have used, so I longed like 650 or something like that. I bought a bunch of spot, and people asked me how I did it. I literally waited for this to come into here, and then I zoomed in, and then I literally, right, did exactly what I've been talking about this entire video. H1 SFP at my key high time frame level. I'm in the lower part of the range. Boom, that's a long trigger. SR flip within this range. That's another long trigger. And this thing's had a great run. But it's the exact same on every alt, right? All of them look effectively the same, right? They've all had huge runs up, a big sell-off, right? And then a higher low. The problem is we have not made higher highs. So as much as we're making higher lows, right, we're putting in lower highs. So Rune is the same as every single alt that we're looking at right now. To get long, yes, you can long it here. It's going to depend on what Bitcoin and ETH decide to do. Ultimately, I want to see a higher high above here to get really excited about a move back into, like, 17 or 18 bucks. Which would be confluent with Bitcoin going back to the 50s, ETH going back to the 3000s, right? Until then, this is your trading range on Rune. So if you're looking to just trade Rune, I would say this is your range. I want to look for longs down here, right? I mean, ultimately, you could argue higher low right at the EQ. This is where you want to get bullish. This looks just like Ethereum to me, right? Like if you go like this, there's resistance. If we run up here and then break down, I would short that, right? So into support for now, but this is your range that you want to watch on Rune. Look for rejections up here. Look for bid support down here. In the middle, no trade zone for me. Personally, that's how I would trade this right now. So if you're day trading altcoins, find the range that we're in. Identify the upper part where you want to look for rejections, right? Identify the lower part where you want to look for buying opportunities, right? So if we get a move down here on Rune, I can start looking for bullishness down here. In the middle, don't waste your time, right? You can trade here. You can go down to a lower time frame and find a bullish setup here. You absolutely can. But personally, that's just not how I plan on trading these alts right now. I want to be looking for high probability shorts, high probability longs. The market structure on all of these things is bearish. Keep that in mind, right? Look at the weekly chart. This is bearish, right? This is bearish. So you have to assume that the bounce becomes a lower high, right? So keep that in mind when you're looking for longs. They are counter trend. I'm personally super bullish on Rune, so I own a shit ton of Rune, and I bought a bunch when it hit 6. But if you're just day trading this thing, this is the range you want to focus on, in my opinion, right here. Okay, next one, XRP. And if you want to look at another thing you can be doing, I'm not even covering the Bitcoin pairs, right? You can be trading the Bitcoin pairs. A lot of the Bitcoin pairs are looking more bullish than the USD pairs, right? And the reason is, right, this looks awesome, dude. This looks like it's ready to make a higher high. Why are these all looking more bullish than the USD pairs? Because Bitcoin itself is very weak right now. So if you want to earn USD, you can trade alt USD pairs right, and have a higher percent return on longs and shorts, higher beta plays than trading Bitcoin itself, right? But if you're just interested in earning more Bitcoin, a lot of alt BTC pairs look okay. FBTC, does this look like the start of a bear market on FBTC? No, it looks like we literally had a massive move up, pull back, and now it looks like it's ready to leg up again, right? So FBTC, this is another reason to be bullish on Ethereum USD. FBTC looks really good still. So if you're interested in just earning more Bitcoin and you own Bitcoin and you're like, well, I don't want to sell my Bitcoin, but Bitcoin might drop further, trade alt BTC pairs to get more Bitcoin, right? If you like longing, go find charts that are bullish. This is a way more bullish chart than the Bitcoin chart. You're going to have an easier time finding a long here. If we flip this level, you long the shit out of it, right? So you're going to have an easier time finding longs on charts that are in an uptrend. So keep that in mind. Okay, XRP. I mean, these all look the same. All look the same, right? Big move up, big move down. Came into our range, found support, pushing up. Like basically every alt looks like this, right? Higher lows, lower highs. Right? What you want to see on all of these alts, right, is a breakout. See if I can find the good level here. I think that was the one right there. Like this is what I want to see on most of these alts. Right? If we can reclaim this, right? That's going to be the opportunity, because once we get above here, we might find some resistance here, right? This is your range. But once we get above here, there's a lot of empty space on a lot of these altcoins. A lot of empty space. Yeah, like I think over like a buck. I mean, you could argue that it's already reclaimed the key level, right? Like you could say this is your level, right? This kind of order block. So that could be your level. I kind of like this one better personally, but a reclaim of this, make a higher high, then this thing has some room to run, at least up into here, right? Which is the range, this range, right? High. So you have the 50% of the bigger range, and then you have this range here. So I move like this, right? Could be a nice long opportunity. Ultimately, I mean, we could maybe come all the way up into here and then still go down, right? Or continue to go higher, but level to level, right? So find the key levels, find where you want to do business, and then look for trades at those key areas. So this is like every altcoin to me, higher highs, right? Let's see if it can flip this kind of area here. I can do better than that, sorry. What do I want to do here? I would say this. See if it can flip this. If it can, I think you have target here, probably, and then obviously target there. So if it can get above here, right? If it can get above here, something like that. And you can do that for pretty much all of these alts that I've just drawn, right? Rune is basically the exact same thing. Not quite as clean, but here's kind of a level I like for us to reclaim. Get above here. I think you can target at least into here. And get above there. I think you can probably target into here. All right, show me bullish market structure. Yes, we've got higher lows. Let's make higher highs now, right? Matic. This thing's up 5% already. This is the craziest chart, man. It is so volatile. It moves so much. Held this low. Matic is wild, man. I mean, I don't even... Like, what is going on here? Like, I feel like there's just some fucking whale who owns a huge amount of this supply, because this thing moves just nuts, man. It's up 7% already today. Here's what happened the last 2 weeks, right? Is exactly this. This is last week. We started off the week bullish, right? And then kind of died off. And then at the end of the week, we sold off. I mean, not so much on Matic, but like on Bitcoin and ETH, right? Everyone was bullish, right? And then the bullishness faded. Everyone was bullish, and then the bullishness faded. But we are putting in higher lows. So Matic is crazy, dude. I don't even know. I don't know on this one. So like this is a perfect example where it's like if I don't see the trade, like if the trade doesn't jump out at me where I'm like, this is what I want to do, I just wouldn't trade it. But if I had to, I mean, there's a big old SFP right there. So if I had to trade this, I'd wait for a break and close above here and then a pullback. Right? And then I'd probably target into here. Assuming it wants to go up, right? Because this is where it could find, you know, weakness up here within this range, above these highs. But yeah, if it breaks and closes above here, long it on the pullback into $2. Seems fair. Okay, I'm gonna do like 5 or 6 more coins. I'm sorry I'm not gonna be able to get to all of your coins, guys. We're already at 2 hours and 15 minutes, and this always happens. Some guy named Professor Chapo just said, can you lend me a small amount? I'll pay you on June 10th. If you're watching Professor Chapo, the answer is no. I will not lend you money. BNB. Like my brain, once we hit like the 2 hour mark on the stream, my brain just starts to become jelly. Look at Matic versus, look at Woo. What the fuck? I mean, there you go. 18% already today. That is insane. How did I, what the hell? Crazy. Okay, BNB. BNB is like identical to like Ethereum pretty much. Kind of similar. This is a higher high though. So BNB, right, looks like it wants to go higher. We've reclaimed kind of key SR here. So I don't see a reason to short BNB here. I would probably wait. Like you could long it now, I guess, with your stop down here. Right? Your stop probably here. Right? Oh God. Or you wait for a reclaim of this, right? Make a higher high, long the pullback, and you can probably long BNB back up towards 500. So assuming Bitcoin and ETH don't shit the bed, a lot of these alts are setting up for some potentially good longs. But if Bitcoin or ETH play out either of those short scenarios that I shared, right, where we just come up here and then fail, all of these alts are going to giga dump. So just keep that in mind, right? If this breaks out, all of these alt setups are valid. If this fakes us out, all of these alts are going to dump and you're not going to want to be long. Professor Chapo's DMing. Maybe he is watching the video. He said he's upside down. I don't even know what that means. I might just block you. Don't DM me and just ask me to lend you money. I'm not going to lend you money, guys. Like 90% of my DMs are people asking for money. Okay, BNB looks okay here. Again, all of these are dependent on what BTC and Ethereum want to do. But if we can get that bullish market structure here, you know, a push up, a higher high, there's going to be a nice long. From here to here is a nice move, right? This is a nice move, 20% almost. Okay. God, so many fucking coins got requested. Sol. Let's take a look at Sol. Add it to here. Losing my voice. Woo is up 19%. Crazy. Should have just market longed it, boys. Yeah, I mean, all of these alts look the exact same. Like, we are either... It's either like this is a crazy buyback, right? And you're almost like, okay, well, this is all good to go. But in reality, like, if Bitcoin's going to go down to like 20 something K, right? Like, let's assume Bitcoin breaks down. All of these alts are printing like the ultimate complacency shoulders here, right? So like, if you look at Sol, as much as this recovery is awesome, like, this is where you short it, right? Like, this is where you short it. This is like the bear flag complacency shoulder that you short into on Sol, like if Bitcoin's going to break down, right? So looking at Sol, it's kind of similar to Woo, where it's coming up into that resistance. I'm not interested in longing it here. If it's going to go up further, I'm either going to long it above here or I'm going to long it, you know, somewhere down here. But this is an area where you look for a short, in my opinion. Because if Bitcoin's going to break down, speaking hypothetically, this is your textbook complacency shoulder before a lower low. So you don't really want to just long this close to it. Can it go up another 5% or so into here? Absolutely. But from a high time frame, not really interested in trading this. This looks like it's getting ready for a short soon. But yeah, I'm not interested in shorting or longing here. We'll long lower with long a breakout. We'll short weakness into this area if it presents itself. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, a lot of alts look good, but Bitcoin doesn't. And so if Bitcoin shits the bed, all of those alts looking good, we're just looking really good into perfect short opportunities, right? Big lower highs. This guy's still DMing me. Okay. Yeah, like, unfortunately, you have to remember, right? As much as like a lot of these things are setting up okay, right? What is the trend leading into this? Like, a bullish pattern is bullish in a bullish environment, right? Or near a bottom. But when we're in a downtrend, right, bullish shit doesn't necessarily play out bullishly, like I was talking about earlier. So you got to be careful with some of these coins where they look good, but it's like, okay, but the trend leading in is bearish. So assume resistance is going to hold. And that works with ranges too, right? Like, if we enter a range from a downtrend, your assumption is that shorts are going to be the high play, the best play, and that the range is going to break down. Okay, we're gonna do a few more because I'm literally starting to turn into jelly here. I'm just scrolling. I'm just gonna pick random ones. Theta. I don't even remember drawing these levels. All right, this is in a downtrend. Big SFP, weekly break in market structure, right? So keep that in mind. Within our weekly range, what do we have right here? Resistance. So there's going to be, like, if Bitcoin's going to continue down further, there's going to be some epic swing shorts to be traded on alts. So again, this is similar to Sol, right? Where it's like, yes, it looks good, but it is coming right into resistance here. So within our bigger range, there's a smaller range from here to here, right? Where is that smaller range is OTE? Right up into it now. So again, any sort of weakness into here, it's going to be a short. But no trade for me personally on Theta. I think this is very similar to Sol, right? Where if we can get above here, I might interested in being long, but if we come down here and break down, I'm not interested in being long. I'd actually interested in a short. And if we sell off down here and find some support, maybe we run a low, then maybe I'd be interested in a long because we'll be lower part of the range, right? But show weakness here is probably a short. Flip this area here might be a long. I mean, I don't even like it there. I just wouldn't. I can't long this here. It would have to flip this high for me to be interested in a long. And I know that sucks because you're like, oh, but from here to here is such a big move. It's like, okay, well, it doesn't work for me, so I'm not going to take it, right? If you can find a setup on a time frame that looks good for you, take it. You don't need me to tell you what to do. Like the long for me here would have been like, I guess you have an SR flip here. Like, you could argue that this is your long trigger, right? And it could be, but for me, we're into high time frame resistance. So while this may be a long trigger, which you could take, it's not a trade that I'm interested in taking personally, but by all means, this is an SR flip, right? Rejection, rejection, breakthrough, reclaim. You could long it. Not for me though, because we're this close to kind of a key high time frame level. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope everything just moons, by the way. Like, I want everything to go up. I don't want things to go down. I much prefer when everything just goes up. Let's take a look at Link. Yeah, it's just like part of me wants to look at all these charts and just be like, yeah, just long everything. And then part of me is like, into where? So like this is interesting, right? Where we're, again, this is just a range within a range. This range, boom, come back into it. We now have this range. We're right into support. Link looks kind of good, man. I don't know, fuck. This is tripping me out. Some of these look like they're right into resistance. Some of these look like this is like a launch time. Like if you look at Link, you've got this 12-hour block, and then from here to here, right, we've come in, tested it. Now we have another range within the range that looks good. Come in, tested it. So Link could have some upside here. This is how you get caught, right? Everything starts looking good early in the week, and then we'll see. But Link, I don't hate here. Like, this is solid support. Like, if you're bullish on Link here, I think that makes sense into here. All right, like if it holds this low, it should make a new high. Right, so whether you're long from right here, right, or you want a long here, this is kind of where you, this and then ultimately into here is kind of where you TP. But this looks like good, man. If Bitcoin goes up for a few days, a lot of these alts can see 10, 20% moves. But my whole point from the start of the video, right, is you need to take profit at resistance, because as soon as Bitcoin turns around, all of this shit's gonna dump. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we see, you know, this stuff move up early in the week, see a bunch of alts do 5, 10, 20% moves, and then if these things rug pull, that being BTC and F, all of these alts will dump harder. But right now, Link is like, yeah, that's a long for me. Right here is a long with a stop right there. Into here, and into there. What is eGold? I have like 50 comments on eGold. This thing better look good. I feel like it's a bag a bunch of people are holding. Okay. Not sure what's going on there. Again, weekly is bearish. Is there room for upside? Potentially. We did we run that low? $65.95, $65.60. So did not run that low. Effectively equal lows there, right? Like you could argue this is going to come up to here, right? Make a lower high. From here to here, that's where the lower high goes on the weekly, if it's going to make a lower high. This doesn't look as good as some other ones, right? Some other ones look a little bit more bullish, but you could argue that this is getting ready. Right? Higher lows, lower highs. All of these alts look very, very similar structurally. Some of them have just moved and been more volatile, right? But you could argue that there's an SFP right there, higher low. You could long this now, or you could wait for this to break out, and then I would target up into here, and then ultimately up into here. Again, all dependent on Bitcoin and Ethereum, but potential setups forming everywhere, right? So again, money can be made if you are being smart about how you're getting in, why you're getting in, and then taking profit at logical areas. What you don't want to do is long this thing, have it go up here, you take no profit, and then Bitcoin dumps, and next thing you know, it's like back at or below your entry. That sucks, right? So just be smart. If you get a good entry and it breaks out, take profit on the way up, right? That's exactly what I did on Rune. Like I longed it down here, I sold into resistance, then you can long it again, right? All right, I'm gonna do just a couple more. I'm literally losing my voice. Let's do, we'll do VET. We'll do Cardano. And we'll do Jeez, I got literally like 700 alts thrown at me. It's insane. Do sushi. Okay. Yeah, I mean, some of these are redundant, guys, right? Like, do you need me to chart this? Looks the exact same, essentially, as this. A little bit different, but effectively it's the same, right? There's your resistance, right? Big move down. Low time frame is putting in potentially higher highs, right? There's a key level right there. So higher lows, excuse me, not higher highs. Again, potentially a good long here right now if you're being smart and you're taking profit into resistance, or at resistance, excuse me. Like, this looks like it wants to push up into here. So if I'm like looking at a key level, I'm probably saying, okay, nice little, like, this was a failure, right? This is a failure. This looks like it's holding. So the idea would be, if this can hold, we should push up into here. And then this is where you want to take profit or look for weakness, assuming that this low holds. Okay? Like, staring at the charts this long and doing all of these in a row, like, I'm starting to like see double at this point. This looks the same. This is such an ugly fucking chart. I hate it. So what's good about this chart, I guess, is that it's kind of holding this base, right? So you had this top here. It's kind of holding it. We had huge wicks to the downside, but it's holding kind of that base here. The H12 is bullish, right? This is your resistance here, right? Which is within this range. There's your kind of OTE. We are holding demand here. So you could long this up into here probably, or on a lower time frame, get in on some sort of SR flip, right? Bullish market structure on the H4 would be a good trigger to get long into here. Right? Basically what you want to see on Ethereum, I think, is this move be a little bit bigger. Like, maybe we come up, we run this high and break down. Right? Like, if we see this, all of those alts are going to make that lower high pattern that I was talking about. But there's a lot of movement here on Ethereum that could lead to a lot of good things on some of these alts. But yeah, H4 above there looks good. Sushi. This chart looks worse than some of the other ones, right? Because this is like lower highs, lower lows. Like, this looks kind of shittier. I don't know. But it's DeFi. Who knows? It could just do this next. Right? Everything looks the same on the H12. Okay, there's a key level for you. Flip that level, you long this thing probably up into here at least. And that's a pretty nice sized move. Right? So if we can get above here on sushi, I would take a long, zoom in, exact same idea as on Cardano, right? There's your low time frame trigger, but it's so close to the high time frame, I might just wait. All right, guys, I'm feeling a little bit kind of loopy. We've got a 2-hour, 40-minute video in the books. So hopefully this was super informative. Hopefully the new streaming software is good. The video quality is better. The audio is better. Appreciate you guys being patient. Hopefully being able to watch on Twitch as well. For those of you that want to do that, you enjoy that. So I'll continue doing that going forward. I know I only got to a handful of alts. I'll try and make sure next week I do even more. I went really hard on the range topic early on in the video. So I really am confident that if you rewatch that beginning section and then go and apply these things in your charts, you will see your trading improve, because you're going to start identifying areas where the probability of you being right in terms of like, I'm looking for longs here, shorts here, will drastically increase. Because like I said, you're stacking the deck in your favor, looking for longs at high probability areas, shorts at high probability areas. So I'm sorry if I didn't get to your altcoins. I will do more. I'll probably do like a midweek video. I usually do a video on like Wednesday, so I'll upload something. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, let me know. Leave me comments, share the videos, subscribe to my YouTube and Twitch. Join me on Discord. Come and hang out. If you got any questions, feel free to DM me, as long as you're not just begging for money, please. Shout out to Bybit and to Bluezell for sponsoring this video. And I will talk to you guys this week. Stay safe.